Hello, Flosstube. This is Michelle at the Striped Rose. Today is Saturday, April the 1st, and this is my second podcast. I want to thank all the new and returning viewers, and I also want to say a very special thank you to the people who subscribed to the podcast and who left such warm and welcoming and very kind comments. And that's what encouraged me to try and podcast again today. I haven't done a lot of stitching. I did a few things on my rotation, but I remembered that I was a gardener. Last time I told you about when I remembered I was a stitcher. Apparently I have all these hobbies and from time to time I forget. So I remembered I was a gardener and I have been outside gardening, or reclaiming my garden really is more what has been happening. So last weekend was my birthday and I decided I needed a birthday start. And I knew exactly what it was going to be. This is Good Deeds Live Long by Brenda Gervais. And I had first seen this chart on one of the Facebook groups. I think it was a Primitive Stitchers group maybe on Facebook, and someone had done her own conversion and brightened it up just a little bit. One thing, if you are going to stitch this, one thing you might want to think about that I didn't think about until last night, and now it's going to drive me crazy. It must have been on purpose that she's all scrunched up over here next to this tulip. Do you see that? There is plenty of room for her to scooch over between the two tulips and be centered between the two tulips. And I'm sure the designer did this on purpose. But if I were to start this again and pay attention, I would center her between the two tulips because she's all scrunched up against one of the tulips. So I am not pulling out all of those stitches. But if you're going to start this piece, and it's a beautiful piece, you might want to consider that in the beginning. So I've used, there's my tea. I've used most of the called for colors. The dress is brandy, which I said last time I really liked. I really like this brown gray color. But I did follow that stitcher on Facebook. What she used for the green was something by Thread Works with an X at the end. It's called the Olives, and it's pretty. The variation is very even. You know, it just sort of cycles through the colors very evenly. So I've tried to break it up a little bit so that it's not such a predictable. And then I had a Valdani, maybe Vintage Roses, and it was pretty, and I had bought it because it was pretty, and so I just decided that I was going to use that for 3 of the tulips, and then I'm going to use Red Pear. You see those two together for the tulip that's the different color, and for some of the flowers. And I'm doing this on 32 count platinum, and it's very pretty. It's very enjoyable. I just wish I had scrunched her over a little bit, because the more I think about it, the more it bothers me. But I am not picking out all those stitches. So Good Deeds Live Long. And I'm just going to keep working on it until I'm ready to go back to my rotation. Every once in a while I need a piece to blow the cobwebs away, or maybe I start a rotation just so that I can have some rules to break. That actually might be what I'm doing. So last Sunday was my birthday, and I got some beautiful gifts from my family and from my friends. And I got 2 cross-stitch charts from my mom, and I wanted to show those to you. She ordered them from Erica's, an online cross-stitch store, which I'd never heard of before. This one, the first one, is Plum Street Samplers Spring Rolls. I'm sure you've all seen this adorable series. My sister loves dachshunds. She had a dachshund. She has a dachshund now. Our dogs were thought to be dachshund mixes. Hector, we got them both from the Humane Society. Hector is definitely a dachshund Jack Russell mix. People who have dachshunds immediately see dachshund in him. People who have Jack Russells say, oh, that's a Jack Russell. He digs and he barks all the time. So, a dachshund Jack Russell mix. Our second dog, it said dachshund Chihuahua mix on the label. No. He looks like a little black lab, big feet, that lab tail. That was the first thing we thought of when we saw that tail start going. But he has a long back and ears that stand straight up. So we like small dogs now. We started off with big dogs, and then we had medium dogs, and now we have 2 small dogs. But you don't have to have a dachshund to stitch these very, very cute designs. So I'd like to go ahead and start that one soon. The second one I got from my mom. She gave it to me as a kit. My Pink Rose by Blackbird Designs. And I had never seen this, I don't think. I'll show you the parts of the kit. I've seen a lot of people that have stitched on these polka dot fabrics. So I'm looking forward to trying that. And it came with a backing fabric. Whoops, cross-stitch thread stuck all over it. Very sweet backing fabric. And it came with the threads, and then this is a pale ballerina pink with little flecks of like a gray in it. And I believe you're supposed to use these beads with this to finish it off. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, but I would like to start both of those. Thank you, Mommy. I really do appreciate my birthday gifts. She actually made me a junk journal also. I told you my mom does collage, and I don't have it where I can grab it. But she made me a junk journal, and she gave me a journal cover that you slip the inserts in. So very creative, very creative. I wanted to show you something else that I bought for myself from Etsy. My friend Lucy, who lives in England, has an Etsy shop called Purl 2 Together. So Purl, like knit and purl, P-U-R-L. And I told her I wanted a tea cozy with roses on top. And so she knit this as a custom order for me to fit my brown Betty. And she even put in a striped rose for me. So that is very exciting. I knit, and I've wanted to knit a tea cozy for a long time, but I want to do a lot of things. So I went ahead and ordered it from her, and I am not disappointed. Now, I hope that at the beginning of this there was a picture of my sampler wall in my family room. I wanted you all to know that occasionally I do get things framed. Not very often, but there are framed pieces in my house. So I wanted to go ahead and give you a close-up view of those pieces and tell you who the designer was. So the first thing I'll show you is this, and I'm not quite sure what the name of the sampler is. It's by Kathy Barrick, and it was when she was designing under, is it Barrack House or Barrack Designs? Some of her charts are Carriage House samplings. Some of them are Kathy Barrack. And some of them are either Barrack House or Barrack Designs. And so this is the one that starts with Barrack. And these pieces all, I think the reason I grouped them together is that they either look like reproductions and they have a lot of blues and reds in them. And I used the DMC conversion for this piece. So the second one in the grouping is also by Kathy Barrack, and it's under the Barrack House or Barrack Designs. And this one, I loved this one. It drove me a little crazy to misspell let and to misspell care. Let didn't bother me, but care, C-A-I-R, that drove me crazy. But I like this style. It reminds me of some of the samplers from the Scarlet Letter. So again, the blues and the reds and the antique sampler look. The little verse around it, that's a little whimsical, which will go well with the piece I'm planning to add, which is very, very whimsical. Now, the next one is either my second or my third favorite design I've ever stitched. This is, did I write down who that was from? Okay, this one is called As Life Wears Away, and it is by Kathy Barrack as Carriage House samplings. Now, my tea mug's in the way. This is satin stitch, and these flowers, ooh, maybe I should have turned, are satin stitch. And I saw this, I knew where it was going to go. I absolutely love those colors. Sorry for the reflection. I love satin stitch, and all my satin stitches are not lying perfectly. But when you're, looking at this on the wall, surely you're not going to come to my house and get right up close to my cross stitch and see if all my satin stitches are lying perfectly, because I won't let you come back if you do that. I wouldn't do it. I might. No, I wouldn't want to do that. So my mother had this one framed for me at a place in South Carolina, and as I grow older, I'm trying to learn not to get so wrapped around the axle about things. Everything doesn't have to be perfect. Everything's not going to be perfect. So I finished this in 2009. So maybe she framed it for me in 2010, 12 maybe. And I got it back. And I said, well, I can't possibly hang this up on my wall. Where is it? Yeah, there's a hair in that yellow. Can you see it? You probably can't see it. No, you can't see it. There's a hair under that glass. And I said, I can't put this on my wall. Now, anyway, so my mother said, well, I'll take it back up there and ask her if she can just open it up, blow the hair out, and close it back up. And then my mom said, well, I'm not going to go all the way to South Carolina. I'll just do it. I'll just open it up and blow the hair out. Well, what happened is my mom misplaced it, lost it for years. Until about 6 months ago, maybe. She just lost it. And I would say, I didn't want to put a lot of pressure on her, but I'd say, have you seen that? The cross stitch with all the satin stitch? And she'd say, I think I gave it back to you. Or maybe I took it to South Carolina and I left it there. Or, I don't know. So for probably 5 or 6 years, it was just gone. And so about 6 months ago, my mom called me and she said, I found that sampler. I found it in my house. And do you know, I am so happy to have it back now after not having it for all those years. I don't care that there is a hair under there. And so the sampler verse says, "May I govern my passions with absolute sway, grow wiser and better as life wears away." And apparently, stitching that verse was not enough for me. I had to I had to get older. I had to be about 5 years older and be without it, thinking that it was gone forever for 5 years before I decided, a little bitty hair under the glass is not the end of the world. You see it? You see it in there? No. So I've learned my lesson, and it is hanging on my wall, my sampler wall. Now, if that is either my second or my third favorite, and next week I'll show you my absolute favorite. Whichever one, second or third, that is. This is the other one. This is by Sheepish Designs. I told you I love Sheepish Designs. I think this was design 2. And this is a really nice verse about Adam and Eve. How Adam just couldn't handle it in the garden without Eve. And I hunted this piece down, and I was so happy to have it. I love it. So this is either my second or my third favorite. I just love it. I think I did it on lamb's wool. Someone asked me in the comments what fabric I had done the Prairie Schooler Santa bell pull on, and I don't know. I wasn't keeping any records at the time. The records I keep now still are not very good. I know I stitched a lot of things on lamb's wool, but that doesn't look like it, does it? That might even be like a summer khaki, the bell pull. I might have, I'm not sure. But this is lamb's wool. And you can tell that's not the, the glare's bad. You can't even see those little sheep right there. It would have been better on a darker fabric, but except for the little sheep down there at the bottom, I could have just done those brown. I could have. But that was a lot of 1/1 stitching. And it's got a little bit of satin stitch. The green and the sky, the blue. I really like satin stitch. A lot of times, if it calls for 2 strands, I'll go ahead and use 3. I think I did that here. I can't tell. Because I like to get a really good coverage. But so, those are the samplers that I have framed and actually nailed into the wall. There's another one that I would like to get to put on there. And this one is a little more whimsical. This is Fishes and Bait by Plum Street Sampler. And I've known for years that I need to make the top of the H on that win. My husband, for the record, does not find this amusing. He doesn't think it's funny at all. But I think that this would be fun to put there because it's got Adam and Eve with a twist. Mermaid tails. I have a lot of Adam and Eve pieces. I really like Adam and Eve. I would like to do an Adam and Eve wall would be fun, but I don't know. So this is Adam and Eve as Mermaids by Plum Street Samplers. And I'd like to get that framed and on my wall, on my sampler wall. So now that's all the cross stitch that I have to show you. Now I'd like to show you my finish for the week, which is actually a knitting finish. So if you don't mind that I slip a little knitting in, this shawl I started in August. It's called the Palmyre. Palmyre. And I did this. It's a shawl. It's big. I made it a little bigger, and I'm gonna block. It's been washed and blocked, and I probably am going to sew in my ends before church tomorrow. Probably. Almost certainly I will. So it had 2 lines of decrease, and are you ready to see the bottom? Oh, there it is. What do you think? I think there are 9 or 10. I think there were 9 in the pattern, and I did either 10 or 11. And I had the hardest time doing those little loops. And I finally just got out a crochet hook, and the pattern made a lot more sense. But this yarn is Capra by Knit Picks, and it has a little bit of cashmere in it. And the color is platinum, and I think that this is my favorite color. All the colors in the world, and platinum is my favorite color, I think. Today, anyway. So, it's a very big shawl, so I can wear it wrapped around me. I don't know, I haven't tried. I probably shouldn't try this on camera. I haven't tried wrapping it around this way. No, definitely shouldn't try this. Ooh, put the hair back. I definitely shouldn't have tried this on camera. I guess I could wear it. I mean, it's big. I guess I could wear it. Probably that's why it wasn't so big in the pattern, so that you could wear it like this without choking yourself to death. I guess we could do that in the... But, so that is my knitting finish. And I'm very excited about that. I was going to show you 2 more. I like to knit socks. And this is my... I have some knitting bags, but the socks whips are getting out of control. This, I think, is a... that's a kombucha thing in there. Last week I was telling you when I made the... when I made the Vana bags, that the reason that I bought the little plastic snaps was to make DPN cozies. And these are the DPN double pointed needle cozies. This was one of my first ones, so it doesn't exactly meet up, and it didn't have a lot of interfacing in them. But I like to knit, well, I only knit on DPNs. And I lose a lot of stitches if I don't clip my needles back into a DPN cozy. I think you can use these for circular needles too. But I haven't tried toe up socks, and I haven't tried magic loop socks. I'm pretty happy just doing DPN, and I'm at the toe decrease. This is a really scratchy, rough yarn, and I like green. I like all kinds of green. I like army green. I was an army brat. There was a lot of army green at our house. But the more I think about this, the more it looks like a dill pickle. Maybe it won't when it's on my foot. This pattern is Mrs. Weasley's family sock recipe. Well, the design pattern is. I'm just doing the toe and the heel, just the way I do toes and heels. Does it still look like a dill pickle like this? I don't know. Anyway, so that's one pair of socks, and these are for me. I'm my favorite person to knit socks for. The only other person I knit socks for is my husband. His foot is 11 inches, 11 and a quarter inches long, and the ones I'm working on right now for him are black man socks. And it's got a pattern in it. I think it's vanilla latte. So I'm doing these for myself. And here's another DPN cozy that I made. And I'm also working on, this is my last knitting whip I'm going to show you. If you're zoning out on me. But I did want to show you this. This is pretty exciting. I bought some acid dyes last year from Dharma. Is it Dharma? And these are their Dharma dyes. And this was antique mauve. Just the straight color, but you know, I wanted it variegated. And I'm using it. It's Knit Picks yarn Bear. And I'm using it. This is a DPN cozy that I bought. It's very nice. It's very nice. The pattern, this and the pattern are by Gnome, N-O-M-E Knitter, Gnome Knitter. She has an Etsy shop where she sells DPN cozies and some other things. And then she has a blog where she has a tutorial, a free tutorial to make her exact ones. Oh, there it is right there. The Gnome Knitter. I think that's very nice of her to provide a free pattern like that. So anyway, with that color, I am making my first pair of monkey socks. And I'm doing the pearls because I thought for my first pair, I want to see the difference. I want to see what difference it makes. So you can see I've done the pearl sections. There is a no pearl monkey sock where you just knit all the pearls. But I wanted to see what difference it made. So these are fun. I have to think. I have, I think it's a free pattern, but I won't show you the pattern. I have it on a clipboard, and I have to use my clipboard while I'm knitting those. But oh, and here's another one that I made. And then I made my stitch markers. These aren't markers. These are progress keepers, they call them, with a little lobster claw clasp. And it was like a little tea set of charms at Michael's. I popped it on a lobster claw clasp. And I'm knitting these on Knit Picks Majesty on 2.25. Right now, I'm knitting all my socks on 2.25. For me, I cast on 68 inches. I wear a size 9. My foot is 9 inches and a quarter. And I watch all these people and they're like, oh, I'm a size 8.5 and I use 56 stitches. I don't know if I stitch very, very tight or if I just have big honking feet. 68 stitches on 2.25 needles. For my husband and his 11.25 inch, I'm doing 80. That's 80 stitches on every round. That's a lot of stitches. It's a lot of love. It's a lot of love. So those are my sock wicks, and I see that I am at 28 minutes. The management told me I needed to keep it under 30 next time. So I'm just going to tell you briefly what I've been reading, just in case you're interested, just in case you're still there, and just in case you're looking for a good book. I listen to a lot of books on Audible. We have a monthly subscription to Audible, and I'm listening to, I just finished Queen Lucia. There is a series of 6 books by E.F. Benson, B-E-N-S-O-N, and the 2 initials, E and F. It's called the Map and Lucia series. And I don't know if you've ever read it, and I don't know if you've seen the series. It's a British series. It had, oh, I know who it is. Prunella Scales plays one of the characters. You recognize all the actors in it, of course. But this was years and years and years ago, maybe the 80s. Battery sufficiently charged. Huh. Ooh, that was not helpful. Ooh, there we go. All right. and I think it was remade a couple of years ago. And I tried to watch the remade version of Mapp and Lucia, Mapp, M-A-P-P, and Lucia. But it would be like watching someone recast Gone with the Wind. It was like when I tried to watch the new Pride and Prejudice that my daughter likes, that all the young girls like, with Matthew McFadden as Mr. Darcy. And I just kept saying, why? Why would you watch another one after the absolutely perfect one was done in 1995? But anyway, so I tried to watch the Mapp and Lucia series, but I couldn't because I really just wanted to watch the old ones. But I've read the series. I've read the second in the series, Miss Mapp. I listen to it on Audible over and over and over again. It's my go-to book when I'm sick or when I'm in a funk and I don't want to think. I just want something comfortable. I listen to Miss Mapp. But so this year, one of my goals is to reread the whole series straight through. It's hysterical. It's set in the 1930s. It starts in the Cotswolds, I think, and then it goes down to the fictional town of Tilling, which is based on Rye in England. And it's ladies and gentlemen, and they're one-upping each other, and it's just, they're hysterical, they're charming. I quoted from Facebook during daylight savings when everybody was moaning and groaning about daylight savings. There's a big thing in there about daylight savings, what it's called, whatever it's called in England. It's just a hysterical series of books. And it's not just a light series. It's really well written, really well written. The other thing I'm listening to is I'm restarting Barchester Towers. Before I die, God willing, I'm going to get all the way through Barchester Towers. But this time I did not start over with the Warden. I couldn't do that again. I've read Barchester Towers once. I'm listening to it on Audible, and then I'm going to go straight through. I've got a narrator. I can't remember his name. There's several options on Audible, but there's a narrator I really, really like, and I like the second book, Barchester Towers. It was just the Warden I didn't like. And the other thing I'm reading, which I'm almost embarrassed to say, I started reading these Agatha Raisin books, and I can't remember where I heard about them. Oh, no, I know what it was. We have Acorn. We have a subscription to Acorn TV. It's like $5 a month, and it's British TV. A lot of Australian TV, which is really interesting because it's different. It's just different. And there was a series called Agatha Raisin. And then I realized there were 20 or 21 books. It's a murder mystery series. And the books are nothing like the TV show. I like them both. Her character is completely different. The characters of the other characters are completely different. The situations, it's the same situations, but you can watch the TV show and then read the book, and it's two different things. It's really, it's not like watching the old Pride and Prejudice and the new Pride and Prejudice, or it's just two completely different things. So I think that this is like the 11th or the 12th book. So she's a London lady who has moved to the Cotswolds. Is that how you say it? The Cotswolds, and she wants to live this perfect English village life, and she just can't because that's just not who she is. But it may be who she's becoming. So she's wrestling with the Agatha who is becoming the village housewife, and the Agatha who wants to tell everybody to go jump in the lake, you know. But it's not on the level with Agatha Christie novels. It's not on the level of her writing and her storytelling, but they're fun, and I'm enjoying them, and I'm whipping through them. So, Agatha Raisin. Those are a lot of fun. I think. If you like murder mysteries, I think they're a lot of fun. So that's all I have. I'm at 34 minutes, so I hope the management will be pleased that I was able to almost get under 30 minutes. So I appreciate it if you have stuck to to the end of this video. And I hope you don't mind that I put in some knitting. I do knit. I love knitting. And I was actually going to make a knitting podcast. And then I thought, because I think that I have 34 hours a day when I'm planning things, I thought, well, I'll make a knitting podcast. And then 2 weeks later, I'll do a cross-stitch podcast. And then 2 weeks later, I'll do knitting. And I'll just... So I think the plan going forward might be to show you my cross-stitch, because it is Flosstube, and then sneak in a few little fun knitting projects, because I know I was watching a knitting, last summer I was watching a knitting podcast, Sarah at Love Sock Wool, and she does the quilt as you go quilting. I've never quilted. I've never had a desire to quilt, but boy, I went and I bought that book and I started Quilt as You Go squares, and I did it for quite a while in the summer, and I have a box of these Quilt as You Go squares, and one day I'm going to remember that I'm a quilter and I'm going to go back and do that. But it's fun to see other crafts, because it's all craftiness, it's all creativity. And thank you for letting me share my dabbles in creativity, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Thank you. Bye.